instead of Wi-Fi. Now, when you are using Wi-Fi, there are a lot more options to get screwed up. Wi-Fi can also increase the latency, whereas a wired connection is going to be instantaneous. Wired connections also generally allow for faster caps, and they are less likely to be interrupted and randomly disconnect if you stall out or anything like that. Wi-Fi, it's not that good. It's not that trustworthy. If you have slow internet, a wire connection isn't going to change that. But if you have decent internet speeds, it's probably best to hook the thing up rather than go off Wi-Fi. And you would be surprised how many people choose Wi-Fi over wired, just not knowing any better. This next one I have done many, many times, and it does work. Pause and start the download again. Now, this is a trick that everybody knows, or most people know, but nobody really understands why it helps. So I'm going to try to help you out with that. If you're in the middle of a big download, let's say you're trying to download Modern Warfare, okay? And your system starts stalling on you, or the speeds go way, way up, try pausing the download. Let it sit for a minute or so, about 60 seconds, and then resume it. Start it up again. Nobody actually knows why, but I'm sure you guys have all noticed that when the PS4 is downloading something for a long time or something really big, the speed gets gradually slower with time. It gets unbearable. It's like it throttles it down. For whatever reason, pausing that download for a minute or so and then restarting it seems to reset things. It seems to speed things back up. Just be sure not to cancel the download. You have two options: pause the download and cancel. You're just pausing it. Don't cancel it, or you'll obviously get very frustrated. And this is a frustrating technique because you have to do this every once in a while. It kind of sucks. You have to sit there and watch your PlayStation 4, pause it, but it does help. Take stuff out of the download queue. So for whatever reason, having more items on the download queue seems to slow it down. And this doesn't make sense. If it's in the queue, that means it's not taking up any bandwidth. It's just in line. It's like you're at the line at McDonald's. You're in the queue. If there's 3 people in front of you that are ordering, you are in the queue to go order. It shouldn't affect any of McDonald's service because you haven't actually placed your order. But the PlayStation 4 thinks different. I'm not really sure why it is, but I bet plenty of you know what I'm talking about. If you have 1 or 2 things in your download queue on your PlayStation 4, it seems to move a lot quicker than if you have 4 or 5 stacked up. So if you were trying to download a lot of things, not just straight games, but updates or DLC packs or system updates, do them one at a time and do not overload your queue. Just keep a list on your phone or whatever of what remains to be downloaded. Let the system go one at a time, and then you can minimize the amount of downtime your system actually needs. This is probably the most important one to me. It's saved me many, many times being a YouTuber having to get something downloaded rapidly. Use rest standby mode. Now, rest mode is a very good way to keep your PlayStation 4 focused on the task at hand, at one thing at a time. While the PS4 is decent at multitasking, it's probably not a good idea to have it doing that while you're also trying to download stuff. Also, while I know a lot of people like looking at a progress bar when something downloads, I get it. It's going to save you a lot of time if you just let the system rest. By putting your PlayStation 4 into rest mode, it will reduce the amount of power that your system is using, and it will make it focus on just the particular background tasks like charging controllers and downloading files. Just be sure to go to your system settings and turn on the setting that allows the console to perform downloads while it's in rest mode. I'm pretty sure that's a default setting, so you would have had to have turned it off. Otherwise, this could be a big waste of time. But there is nothing better than putting it in rest mode, coming back a couple hours later, and everything being downloaded. And it does download faster. It is not a myth. It will download faster when it is in rest mode. Next up is don't play during downloads. Now, I know this is tough, and I caught my son doing this the other day. It should be obvious, but some people want to keep playing, and I get that. I do. But when you're downloading things, you should try and refrain from playing online games at the same time, okay? When you play a game, the system will dramatically slow down the download in order to compensate for the internet the game is actually using. And sometimes, well, it'll just outright stop the download until you close out the game or you're done with your session, which is the last thing that you want to do. Yes, We live in a day and age where you should be able to play whatever you want and it should download just as fast in the background, but we're not there yet. So while you're downloading something, try to refrain from playing games at the same time because it's just going to make that process take longer, especially if you don't have blazing fast internet. This next one goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway because you never know. Make sure your PlayStation 4 is up to date. This is another very weird quirk, I guess you could say, of the PS4. If your software is not up to date, it will mess with the game performance and your download speeds. Now, the PlayStation 4 system updates are incredibly long, and they're often very painful with minimal payoff, and it's probably in your best interest to just bite that bullet and install them whenever they're out. Put it on auto update, let it do it overnight. If your PlayStation 4 is fighting you on game downloads and you don't know why, and you've tried everything else on this list, check and see if your system is up to date. If it's not, well, then you know what the problem is. If it is up to date, well, I would recommend the last tip that I gave you and then just one by one staggering the tips to see if anything helps. But this is the first one you should check. If it's not up to date, it is definitely going to cause problems. It's like if you have a phone, specifically I have an iPhone. If it is not up to date or if it tells me 2 or 3 days you have an update to do and I ignore that, the functionality on my phone goes drastically down. They are forcing me, throttling me to do that update. I strongly feel the PlayStation 4 is the same way. And finally, this is a bit of a dramatic step, but if you just can't stand how slow things are and you just can't figure it out and you don't feel like you have any other options, it's worth a shot. Factory reset. Now, I say this with a disclaimer, okay? As you probably noticed, your PS4 seems to get slower and slower with age. That's how it is with any technology. The more files that come and go from the hard drive, the more things can get kind of messed up and scrambled internally. However, by doing a factory reset, it has been shown that the download speeds will improve. And sure, you have to re-download all your games, and you will be stuck with a fat system update when you turn that thing back on. But if you're at the end of your rope, and you're willing to let your system sit for a day while all that happens, you'll likely see an improvement in your download speeds once you start playing on it again. Now, I don't know what it is about the PlayStation 4 that screwed up download speeds so bad, but let's hope, and they have stated that they are aware of this for the PlayStation 5, let's hope they have this fixed. We should not have to spend $500, $400 on a console and then have to go to one of these how-to videos that I made just so you can download your games in a timely fashion. It's not right, I get it, but that is where we are at in reality, so hopefully something on this list will help you download quicker. If you have other tips that we didn't go over that you have tried out, put them in the comment section